Welcome into the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, along with Wade Neely. We're coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes. And after doing so for a pretty good while, that will probably not continue to be the case all week. So stay tuned, as our surroundings will likely change here at some point between now and Friday. But we are enjoying the comforts of our own homes here on this Monday for this Monday Mirror. And man, this is an action-packed show as we get ready for an action-packed week. We got a lot going on, and Wade's going to help us get through it. Wade, how's your Monday?
Man, things are good. Good to be back with everybody. Like you said, it is busy. We had a big weekend in Pulaski with the annual BJ Inglet golf tournament where for once a year we get out and we swing them. Ran into some Giles County dignitaries. Don Thomas was there, principal and assistant football coach. Nick Campbell, they had a team going. Team Giles County, I guess, if you will. Steve Sorrow.
Nick Campbell was swinging it?
Nick Campbell was swinging it along with, the bass fishing coach, Steve Sorrow. So they had a real team together. And it all is for a good cause because in memory of a former Bobcat, BJ Inglet, they raise money every year to give out to academic and athletic scholarships for college kids at Giles County High School. So something like the 17th annual, I think. I played in all 17. It's kind of a big deal for us who went to school with BJ, and we play every year. So it was fun. I wish I had video of Campbell swinging the sticks, but unfortunately, I didn't get it. And
it might be just as well, Wade, because if you had video of Nick swinging them, somebody might have video of you swinging them.
100%.
So yeah, honor among thieves.
Yeah, and I wasn't at my best. I heated up in the middle of the day, but it wasn't enough to make much magic happen. We had a blast, always do, and that was the big event. Richland had their jamboree Friday, as you know, and as we talked about on our show, and then they had their Meet the Raiders event back in Pulaski on Saturday night. So football is kind of in the air, and the BJ Inglet golf tournament is kind of one of the unofficial kickoffs for the Giles County side of things, and the Meet the Raiders event on the Linville Square was the other for Richland on Saturday.
Meet the Raiders. Nice. Commitment to excellence down there in Linville. I like it. Well, yeah, big show today. We have Ann Kimmel from Penalty Box Radio joining us. And if you didn't really expect us to be talking hockey on August 19th, well, when I went to bed on August 18th, I didn't expect to be either, but we will get more into that in the next segment. We will also be speaking with local racing authority Joe Williams. He's he's not breaking some news because I think he broke it earlier today, but we'll be talking about the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway's 2024 Hall of Fame class that has been announced, and Joe's going to bring us up to speed on that. We'll be talking a little baseball. The hits just keep coming for the Atlanta Braves. If you have not been on social media in the last hour and a half and you are a Braves fan, step away from the sharp objects and the ledge. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Also, some Titans. They improved to 2-0 in the preseason. Take that for what you will. With a last-second field goal from an undrafted rookie to beat Seattle 16-15. We'll talk about some of the developments out of that as well. And, the WNBA is back in full swing. And what would the WNBA be without a Caitlin Clark mentioned? We'll be talking about the rookie out of Iowa as part of the grab bag at the end of the show, in addition to some golf action, more golf action. More guys that swing it a little bit better than Wade, Don, or Nick down at Memphis over the weekend, as well as
Scott Stewart. I got to throw him in there too. He was among them thieves in the afternoon. He was in the afternoon flight, so we got to make sure he gets his strays as well. Our citizen publisher.
And NASCAR action postponed from yesterday to today, and a development that we missed the latter part of last week, Wade, and I don't know how we did because we talked about it with Heather midweek. Austin Dillon got some, I don't know if this is a slap on the hand or a slap in the face, but whatever it is, he's appealing it. We'll talk a little bit more about that later in the show as well. But yeah, there's plenty to talk about. This is again, this is a action-packed, jam-packed Monday, and given the warnings that I have received regarding the rundown, we should probably go ahead and get right into the show with this weekend's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Buckle up, folks. Today's rundown is brought to you by our friends at Zion Christian Academy. ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education right here in Murray County. So give them a call today at 931-388-5831 or visit zioneagles.org and schedule an appointment today. That's Zion Christian Academy, prepared for college, equipped for purpose.
High school girls soccer action from Friday. It was Brentwood with a 3-1 victory over Christ Presbyterian Academy. Hillsboro defeated Centennial 1-0. It was Baylor 3, Father Ryan 0. Franklin County with an 8-0 victory over the Lady Bobcats of Giles County. It was Signal Mountain Edge and Murfreesboro Central 2-1. Houston with a 2-0 win over Ravenwood, and Martin Luther King and University School of Nashville played to a 1-1 draw on Saturday. Cascade with the 1-0 win over Kirkwood. It was Briarcrest 2, Father Ryan 1. Harding Academy with a 1-0 win over Kirkwood. Kirkwood struggling offensively. Lincoln County with an 8-0 win over Murfreesboro Central. It was Murfreesboro Central bouncing back for a 5-1 win over Trinity Christian. And Baylor defeated Ravenwood 2-1. Sunday, Assumption out of Louisville, Kentucky defeated Father Ryan 2-1. And it was Kirkwood finding that offense in a 4-0 win over Powell County of Kentucky.
Bouncing back was Kirkwood after that. Good effort on Sunday. Major League Baseball score. Speaking of disappointing efforts, the White Sox defeat the Astros 5-4 on Friday. Had a feeling that would happen. The Angels knocked off the Braves 3-2 Friday. Saturday action, it was Houston 6, Chicago 1, Atlanta 11, Anaheim 3. And then moving into Sunday, it was the Astros 2-0 over the White Sox, the Braves 3-1 over the Angels. Take you up to Friday, Saturday, Sunday on minor league baseball action. It was Durham defeating Nashville 3-2 as the Sounds fall in a one-run game on Friday. 7-4 Durham defeats Nashville on Saturday evening. And then Sunday, the Sounds do get one back. It was 4-2 as Nashville closes the series on the road with that 4-2 victory versus the Bulls.
WNBA action on Friday. Indiana, not Indianapolis. They play in Indianapolis, but they are the Indiana Fever. Defeated the Phoenix Mercury 98-89. It was the Atlanta Dream with an 83-81 win over the Seattle Storm. And the Connecticut Sun down the Dallas Wings 109-91. On Saturday, Minnesota Lynx with a 99-83 win over the Washington Mystics. Also, the New York Liberty continued to roll 79-67 over the Aces of Las Vegas. And the Chicago Sky defeated the Los Angeles Sparks 90-86. Sunday, the Dream staying hot with an 82-70 win over the Sun. The Fever 92, the Storm 75. Las Vegas bounces back to down the Sparks 87-71, and the Mercury defeats the Sky 86-68. NFL preseason action, as we mentioned, Saturday night at Nissan Stadium, the Tennessee Titans edged Seattle 16-15.
1-point win for the Titans. Yep. Can't win them all till you win the first two is what they'll tell you. Schedule like now as we begin tonight. We'll get into girls soccer and then get into volleyball. Buckle up. Soccer begins us here at 5 p.m. It's going to be Zion Christian at Mount Juliet Christian. 6 o'clock will be White House Heritage at Creekwood. Also at 6, it'll be Culleoka at Fairview, Fayetteville at Loretto. At 6:30, Murfreesboro Central Magnet at Rockvale. And then at 7 o'clock tonight, it'll be Station Camp at Bowling Green. That's out of Kentucky. And then closing it out at 7, Pope John Paul II at Nolensville.
Volleyball action. Little bump set spike getting started today. Santa Fe is at Hampshire. That's a 5 o'clock start. Battle Creek is at Spring Hill. New crosstown rivalry starting up at 5:30. Also at 5:30, Providence Christian is at Blackman at 5:45 and not a second earlier. Middle Tennessee Christian travels to Brentwood Academy. 6 o'clock. Zion Christian is at Collinwood. Summertown goes to Eagleville. Gallatin is at Franklin. Loretto hosting Lawrence County. Columbia Central travels to Marshall County. East Hickman is at Mount Pleasant. Green Hill goes to Oakland. Rockvale hosts to Murfreesboro Central. And that's it for high school volleyball at the Major League Baseball level tonight. 7:10 first pitch as the Astros travel to Fenway Park, taking on the Boston Red Sox to open a series up there. That one is available locally. Well, not here locally, in Houston locally, but
MLB TV.
MLB TV. There we go.
They run specials at the end of the year too. You might be able to snag it for like $20 for the rest of the season. If you're still on the fence, which is always nice.
Yeah, well, and you know, here as you're coming down the stretch, getting into pennant races and that kind of thing, that might be something to think about. So MLB TV, check it out. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your rundown. We're brought to you as always by Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available until 6 o'clock. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And I don't know if Josh Heupel sleeps or if so, when, but he could certainly rest a little easier after this weekend than before, I guess, because they got not one, but two significant 2025 commitments over the weekend. And we will take first things first. Friend of the show, Dave Hooker of Off the Hook Sports, on his website calls, well, to be fair, it's Caleb Calhoun of Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker, calls the commitment of Charlotte prep offensive lineman David Sanders Jr. the most high-profile commitment for the University of Tennessee's football program since Eric Berry. Now, I know another media outlet says this, but we report, you decide. I don't know if I'm ready to go there because I know what Eric Berry did at Tennessee and after. But David Sanders Jr. is a 5-star offensive lineman who was also considering Georgia, Ohio State, and Nebraska before committing to UT on Saturday. He is the number 1 ranked offensive tackle in the country, according to 24/7 Sports Composite recruiting rankings out of Providence Day School in Mecklenburg County. 6'6", 290. Tennessee's first unanimous 5-star commit since Darnell Wright, also an offensive tackle back in 19, but he was only rated number 2 in the country. Before Wright, Tennessee's last 5-star commit, last unanimous 5-star commit was again Eric Berry. So Wright and Berry also the only 2 NFL draft top 10 picks out of Tennessee since Philip Fulmer's departure. So it seems that there's really no way to overstate this commitment.
Sure looks like a good one. And, you know, I've got the 20 man, Michigan fan to me is a little furious at this because I'm sitting here looking and you got Ohio State. They have 3 of the top 6 players in the country for 2025. And they would have had 4 if Tennessee hadn't won out the services of David Sanders Jr. So I'm looking at this and I'm just like, you got to be kidding me, man. But this is a massive, massive get. I
So
mean, just a
so
couple.
so as a Michigan fan, you're thankful for Tennessee right now, right?
Got to be thankful. Sharon Moore, he's the offensive lineman whisperer, so maybe he gets in the mix, and then maybe this doesn't stick. But I'll tell you what, this is got to be exciting for Tennessee because they just went into Greensboro and picked up Faison Brandon a couple of weeks ago. Now you're rolling into Charlotte. It seems like Tennessee is kind of putting the flag in the ground in terms of the premier talent in the Carolinas, which, as we've kind of discussed with a number of different guests on this show, sometimes Tennessee isn't at their best snagging all the prospects out of the Volunteer state. Sometimes they're at their best when they get another state's top prospect, and it certainly looks like North Carolina is Tennessee country at the moment.
And when it feels like, we've talked with Ben McKee and with some other folks to follow up on what you said. It feels like when Tennessee has been at its best on the football field, they have had a North Carolina impact on those rosters. And so, again, going back to the Faison Brandon, and that's a good reference there, Wade. That's a nice little 1-2 punch out of Carolina with Brandon, and now with young Mr. Sanders as well. Again, and I'm going to call him Mr. because, again, he's 6'6", 290. So that right there would have been plenty for UT. And everybody would have been singing the praises of the Volunteers coaching staff with that pool. They said, hold up, wait a minute. On Sunday, Tennessee got a commitment from 4-star Georgia linebacker Jaden Harmon out of Rome High School in Rome, Georgia, 6'1", 215. Again, announced his commitment across his social media accounts on Sunday morning. Jaden Harmon, former Alabama commit, Jaden Harmon. So not only did they get a 5-star offensive tackle, but 24 hours later, they flipped a linebacker commit from Alabama, which, speaks for itself. Anytime you can get somebody who had committed to the Crimson down there, that's a good call. So, again, nice weekend's work for Josh Heupel and the Vols as they get ready for the upcoming season. They are also getting ready for seasons beyond by reinforcing their 2025 recruiting class. And that now gives them, I think, 23 commits for this upcoming signing class. And quite a few of them are pretty special, it seems.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. I'm using 24/7, but bumps them up to 6th in their particular rankings. Trailing, shocker, Ohio State, number 1, but trailing Bama, LSU, Georgia, Auburn, Tennessee. Tennessee, you're right, with those 23 commits. I wish I had taken a glance at this list before the weekend because you would assume this jumps them up a little bit just off the signing of or commitment of David Sanders Jr. alone, because that is a generational talent, program defining type signee if things work out a certain type of way. And that's a massive, massive gift for the Vols.
Massive. Because, again, 6'6", 290. Yeah. Let's take a break here from the Lee Company Studios on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, speaking of massive, there was some massive news off the local ice here. So stay tuned when we return after this. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
He shoots, and he scores!
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Welcome back to the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, along with Wade Neely, taking you through this next, hour and 37 minutes now of sports talk of local, regional, and national import. And I will tell you, I'll give you a quick look into some of my habits that probably aren't the greatest, but when I go to bed, I plug my phone in right next to the bed. And when I wake up, because I usually use it for an alarm, one of the first things I do is grab my phone. And I picked it up. And one of the first things I saw on my phone when I woke up this morning, before I could even see real good, was Askarov wants out, basically, for lack of a better phrase. Yaroslav Askarov has kind of perused the goalkeeping situation for the Nashville Predators and is aware of the 8-year extension that UC Saros has signed, and has decided he wants a trade and will not report to the Milwaukee Admirals of the AHL, which is the Nashville Predators' top minor league affiliate. So once I could actually see and grasp the significance of all this, one of the first things I did was reach out to our next guest, Ann Kimmel of Penalty Box Radio, to ask her if she could come on with us and discuss young Mr. Askarov's decision.
Yeah, it was quite a morning. It was just supposed to be a Monday of the off season, gentlemen, and then all of the sudden, here we are.
Here we are. Yeah. How did we get here, Ann?
It's a great question. You know, my grandmother always used to say you can't put an old head on a young body. And I think we are absolutely seeing that in today's situation with Yaroslav Askarov. Um, how we got here, I think you don't have to be Scooby Doo to figure out that Yaroslav Askarov didn't like what he was seeing with the Nashville Predators, and can't blame him. Signed UC Saros to an 8-year deal, and then went out and signed Scott Wedgwood to a 2-year deal. And so what that tells Yaroslav Askarov and everybody else is that there is probably not going to be the type of position in the NHL that he wanted in the next 2 years. And I understand that. I understand that that may be very frustrating. I understand that when you are the 11th overall pick and you are one of the top goaltending prospects in the NHL, your expectation is I'm going to move up and into the NHL on a certain trajectory. And that wasn't going to happen. However, everything changed for everyone on this Nashville Predators roster the minute Barry Trotz signed Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault and Brady Shea, because this team went from a reset to we're in contend now mode. We want to get to the Stanley Cup Finals in the next 2 to 3 seasons. And as difficult as that is for Yaroslav Askarov, the truth is he is not the backup goaltender who can do that right yet. And he doesn't like it. And I don't blame him.
Yeah, it sounds almost like just the philosophy of the franchise. Hey, we'd love to maybe perhaps keep you in the mix, and we'd love to have you, be the guy and be the future, kind of like we were hoping. But our plans have kind of changed, and now all of a sudden we're having to scramble. And this new dynamic, you quite maybe don't totally fit. Is that kind of the overall assessment, maybe?
I do think that the Predators could see a way for Yaroslav Askarov to eventually become the next goaltender of this franchise, the next big goaltender. But it certainly was not going to be on Askarov's timeline, especially now that they signed Scott Wedgwood to this 2-year deal. And I think he feels like the trajectory for my career to the NHL is not going to happen in a timely manner with the Nashville Predators. And here's what I'll say. I understand his frustration with that. I will also point out that I'm not sure he has the body of work in North American hockey to quite make the stand that he did by saying, I am not going to report to AHL training camp, because there is still plenty that Yaroslav Askarov could get out of the next season in the AHL. But he has opted to say he's not interested in playing in the AHL, which is interesting because he would be playing for a team in the AHL that contended back-to-back, in the Western Conference Finals for the Calder Cup. This is a great AHL team to be a part of and to get experience in, but he is not interested.
He's not interested on April 19th as we speak with Ann Kimmel of Penalty Box Radio. You'd like to think, as you said, old heads and young bodies, and, too soon young and too late smart and all that other stuff, that maybe cooler heads will prevail at some point. Askarov kind of recognizes, or the people around Askarov maybe realize the error of their ways and try to walk this situation back. But I mean, Trotz isn't going to move him, is he?
Trotz is not going to move him unless he gets exactly what he wants for him. You can back Barry Trotz into a corner, but we saw this last season with Tyson Barrie. Tyson Barrie wanted a trade, but if Barry Trotz wasn't going to get what he felt was a fair market value for that trade, he's simply not going to make the trade, and Tyson Barrie unfortunately sat. Yaroslav Askarov maybe should have taken a lesson from watching that unfold, because Barry Trotz is not going to just say, you know what, you're unhappy, let's just cut our losses here. He's under contract, and Barry Trotz is not going to take a bucket of pucks to get rid of an unhappy goaltender.
Yeah, and so there kind of lies the rub, I would guess, if you are Yaroslav Askarov. I mean, at that point, do you actually not report to Milwaukee?
I don't know how this plays out in a way that is favorable for Askarov if he doesn't. And it already will not look great if he does. But here's the thing. The way you walk it out says something about you. And you have to remember he's just 22 years old.
22.
He's played only 112 games of North American hockey. That's it. His body of work, as good as he is, as naturally talented as he is, as NHL potential, as much NHL potential as he has, his body of work does not support this stance yet. And so the best thing he can do is eat a little crow and show up in Milwaukee. He also needs to show up at the Nashville Predators training camp and say, if I am not willing to play in the AHL, I'm going to come to training camp and I'm going to compete against Scott Wedgwood. Likely not going to get that job because the Predators need something very different from their backup than Yaroslav Askarov can give them right now. But show that you can compete against top NHL talent like Philip Forsberg, Roman Josi, like Steven Stamkos, like Jonathan Marchessault, like Ryan O'Reilly. Show what you can do against that NHL caliber of play. And then maybe you say, I would like a trade and I would like an opportunity to play in the NHL. But he doesn't yet have the body of work to make this stance. He's got plenty of potential, but he doesn't have the body of work yet.
And the X factor in all this, as so many Nashville Sounds have seen with the Milwaukee Brewers, if you are in that spot, you're only one injury away.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. And that's one of the things you have to factor into Barry Trotz's decision as well, because you think about that with UC Saros. He is your goaltender that you believe is going to get you to cup contention. But UC Saros is one injury away from not being able to take the team there. And Yaroslav Askarov is not a backup who can do that. If he is your backup goaltender in Nashville, what you want from him is to develop his game. But when you have Scott Wedgwood as your backup, you know, if, God forbid, knock on all the wood, if something happens to UC Saros, Scott Wedgwood has proven that he can carry a team through that. He did it last season when Jake Ottinger was injured with the Dallas Stars. So you're one injury away from needing your backup goaltender to be able to win NHL games. And we don't know yet that Yaroslav Askarov's ready.
And in addition to that, again, Askarov needs to play. Mm-hmm. He doesn't need to be a number 2 in the NHL. He needs to be a number 1 in the AHL. If something happens to Sarov, then maybe Askarov gets the number 1 shot at some point. But he needs to play. He's 22 years old. He needs to play. And he wasn't going to play at the NHL level with the Nashville Predators.
Right.
This is
it's not a good look, friends. It is not a good look. Yeah. I said this morning on a podcast, I said, if I was Yaroslav Askarov's agent, I hope he felt a little embarrassed making that phone call. Because this is so ill-advised and it is a missed opportunity. And I agree with what you're saying. He needs to be a starter in the AHL because he is going to be on a team that is going to contend for another deep postseason run. And he has not finished the postseason the last 2 years. Their backup goaltenders, Devin Cooley and now I'm drawing a blank. Devin Cooley and Troy Grosnick stepped in the postseason these last 2 seasons for Askarov. He has to be able to make that deep run at the AHL level. The other thing is the Predators just signed Mitch Korn to be the director of goaltending. And Mitch Korn has 33 years of experience in the NHL when it comes to goaltending. He has coached 5 Vezina winners, 2 Hart Trophy winners. Why would you not say, I don't want to be with the Nashville Predators long-term. There is nothing here for me, but I'm going to sit for a year and get more experience. And I am going to learn from Mitch Korn. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to go somewhere else. Mm-hmm. I just think the timing of this is so ill-advised.
Certainly interesting and going to get more interesting, I think, as we continue to keep an eye on this situation. And as you look at the Predators, aside from this development, what are your what are your talking points about this team here as we move through the off season and move closer to preseason preparation?
I think it's going to be a really exciting year. I would say expectations are very high. I believe Barry Trotz wants to contend for a Stanley Cup in the next 2 to 3 seasons with the signings he's made. I would caution Predators fans to be patient, because you're bringing in Steven Stamkos, who is incredible. But Steven Stamkos has played his entire career for one franchise, and he's going through a huge transition off the ice and on the ice. So I think give the Predators time to find the right combinations and to get the new players acclimated to Andrew Brunette and his new system. But I think there's a tremendous amount of potential for the Nashville Predators. And I do think this is a team that even in the first year here with these new players could make a very interesting run in the postseason.
What do you make of the Cody Glass trade from last week?
Okay, I have a heart answer and I have a head answer. My heart hates this because I feel like Cody Glass has a ton of potential. I feel like he just was kind of a victim of some circumstance, some injury. I don't like particularly the optics of it, where this is a player who was open about the fact that the injury really caused some mental struggles as well. So I don't like the optics of it necessarily, but it is a move that probably had to be made. The Predators absolutely needed to free up that cap space to sign some RFAs that they want long-term. I do think for Cody Glass, this is going to be a great fit. I think Pittsburgh could be a really good landing spot for him. I wish him all the best, unless we're playing them.
Well said.
Been there. I've been in that situation on more than one occasion for sure. Ann Kimmel of Penalty Box Radio joining us here on Main Street Sports today. And what are the key dates here for this team? When does preseason cricket?
Preseason kicks off middle of September, and then opening game is October 10th. And they're going to have rookie camp coming up here in the next 2.5-3 weeks. They'll have rookie camp. They'll go right into training camp and then preseason. And it's going to be kickoff for who knows what could happen this season, October 10th.
Wow. So it's upon us.
It's coming. It's coming.
All right. And we appreciate it. Look forward to visiting with you again here soon as we get toward and into preseason, or if somebody else demands a trade.
We'll just wait and see what happens.
Absolutely. Thank you, ma'am. We'll talk to you.
Thank you so much. Great to talk with you.
You as well. Hey, let's take a break from the Lee Company Studios here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return, we'll talk a little Braves, and I will go change into something black real quick. So stay tuned.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
August 19th, 2007, John Smoltz's third inning strikeout of Mark Reynolds was one of his two against the Diamondbacks' third baseman in 2 at-bats, and one of Smoltz's 12 over 8 innings, but it was the 2,913th of his career, breaking a franchise record previously set by Phil Niekro from 1964 to 1983 with Milwaukee and Atlanta. With home runs from Mark Teixeira and Yunel Escobar, the Braves scored in the first, third, and fourth innings for a 6-2 Turner Field victory. That was this day in Braves history. The Braves closed out a 6-4 road trip with Sunday's 3-1 win at the Angels, putting them 7 back of Philadelphia in the NL East division standings and up 2 games on the Mets in the wild card standings. But it was costly because during his first inning plate appearance, Austin Riley was hit in the right hand, and tests today have revealed a fracture that will leave him out for 6 to 8 weeks. And I don't know who, as Braves fans, we need to appeal to get the curse lifted from this 2024 team, but tell me who it is so that we can do so. Because as someone pointed out on Twitter, at Leslie Mines the third, still blows my mind that the Atlanta Braves only played 1 game with their opening day lineup, and that 1 game was opening day. On March 29th against the Phillies, the Braves lineup, the batting order was Ronald Acuna Jr. in right field leading off, Ozzie Albies, batting second, playing second, Austin Riley batting third, playing third, Matt Olson cleanup first baseman, Marcell Ozuna at DH hitting fifth, Michael Harris Jr. in center field batting sixth, Sean Murphy batting seventh and catching, Orlando Arcia batting eighth and playing shortstop, and Jarrett Kelenic batting ninth and left. Spencer Strider was the opening day starter. Sean Murphy sustained an oblique injury in that opening game, and at no time since have those 9 offensive players been in the game at the same time.
Yeah, that's borderline, Mo, like the Grizzlies in the NBA record last year they set for most unique lineup combinations. It sounds like the Braves are approaching that status because Memphis, same deal. They just never had that magic after the first day. They didn't even make it to the first day. They had injuries in the preseason as well last year. So I feel your pain there because Atlanta, just feels like, just when we start to get you excited, when we start to get the team rolling a little bit, the universe just kind of says, hey, hold on just a second now.
Yeah, this is why we can't have nice things. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe can still win in spite of. That makes it even more sweet if that happens now.
But it's getting tougher and tougher, man. I mean, when you talk about, obviously Acuna's out for the year. Albies is dealing with a wrist. He's supposed to be back here in about another 3 to 4 weeks, I guess. Harris just got back from a hamstring. It's bubblegum and chicken wire are in really short,
for sure.
are in really short supply in Atlanta right now because the Braves are using so much of it. And I will tell you that the fact that this team is still in contention for a playoff position says something about somebody. And, I'm not ready to say it's Brian Snitker for a number of reasons, but this team proved its resilience in 2021 when they went through a spate of injuries to win the World Series championship. But I don't think it was anything quite like this. I mean, Jorge Soler is dealing with a hamstring situation right now. They hope he gets back sometime this week. Ronaldo Lopez I think he's been activated after some forearm issues here over the last couple of weeks. But this team has been fighting it, man. And still, in spite of all that, again, they went 6-4 on this road trip. It wasn't pretty through Colorado, San Francisco, and the Angels, but they went 6-4. Now, they scored 10 runs or more in 3 of those 10 games. They scored 2 runs or less in 3 of those games. So very, very all or nothing ish. And, Austin who had missed some time earlier this year as well. Most recently on paternity leave, but he had some other nagging issues as well. But he was starting to kind of get back in the swing of things. And then he takes a fastball off the hand, and that's rarely good. So
painful spot.
It is, and it was. He stayed in the game and ran, but then did not come back in the bottom of the first. And obviously, if you're a Braves fan, you kind of been on pins and needles ever since. And so you finally got the news here a couple of hours ago that was a thing, and it's very unfortunate. And I don't know what the move is for the Braves, particularly as we sit here on, August 19th, because it's not like you can go out and trade for somebody at this point. But I don't know if you get Nacho Alvarez back up or what it is they're going to do, how they're going to address the situation at third base. I mean, I can't imagine Luke Williams is going to be your everyday third baseman, but I don't know what happens. Justin Toscano at Justin C. Toscano of the AJC. Austin Riley was the Braves' most productive hitter on a consistent basis behind Marcell Ozuna this season. They had already lost so much they could not afford to lose him. They have a next man up mentality, but they are going to have a difficult time absorbing this blow. And I don't see anything that proves Justin Toscano wrong on that one. And, on top of everything else, Austin Riley was getting ready to be your Gold Glove third baseman in the National League. He has been playing as well defensively as anybody you could run out there. And I don't know that he turned a corner. I just think it's kind of been a constant ascension for him defensively, and he had really putting it all together, was having a great season defensively while, trying to get himself headed in the right direction offensively and starting to get cranked up. Now, is he going to be back before the end of the season? 6
Depends
to
how
8
long
weeks.
the season goes, I guess, right?
6 to 8 weeks. I mean, that's going to put him right at, and with this team in particular, depends on how long the season goes. It's hard to say. It really is. So obviously our eyes will be on what they do to fill that spot, both on the roster and on the field. And it's just not a good feeling when you think about everything else that this team has been through to this point to lose Austin Riley on top of everything else. Houston, meanwhile, up 4 in the AL West after taking 2 of 3 from the Chicago White Sox. Have won, I think, 10 of their last 11 now? Is that right?
Yeah, I've been playing pretty well. And the injury bug has kind of we've kind of gotten enough distance with Houston that it's like, well, whatever we get out of whoever we got is what we get. And that's kind of where we're at because McCullers gone for the year. Urquidy been out. Javier's out. Verlander looks like he will finally come back. So Houston's kind of just been pulling themselves up by the bootstraps. And, when you got to do that every night, you end up dropping one to somebody like the White Sox like you're not supposed to. So they do just enough to get you excited, but also just enough to keep you tempered as well. So
keep you grounded, huh? Yeah. Not so fast, my friend, as Lee Corso would say. Yeah.
Two out of 3 on the weekend. Kind of playing pretty solid ball. And I mean, we'll just, if they're fortunate enough to make it into the playoffs, we'll see what happens because they have not been healthy enough or consistent enough to really give you a true sense of optimism as far as potential world championship. But you never know. Crazy things happen in the postseason. So it'll be a fun little month and a half here down the stretch to see where they go because it does certainly look like it's them in Seattle. Everybody else is kind of bowing out at this point in that division.
Yeah, and they are what? Again, they are 4 up on Seattle. And it's tough to feel like they won't make the playoffs because even if Seattle were to put something together late, they still got a pretty good wild card situation, you feel like. So it'll be interesting. I think in these days, heck, once you get into the playoffs, anything can happen. We've seen that. We can tell you one team that will not be in the playoffs. By virtue of Saturday's 6-1 Houston victory, the White Sox have been eliminated from the postseason. That's because the White Sox are now, let me get this right. The White Sox are now 42.5 games back of the Guardians with 47 games left to play. So,
Christopher Gabriel, where you at?
Yeah, keeping his head down.
He ain't watching this show because he's like, man, y'all talking about the White Sox being too bad too much. He's like, I can't tune into you guys.
I'm sorry. That's not the number that eliminates them, though. The White Sox are 38.5 games back in the wild card with 38 left to play. So
bad they're already out of even the wild card talk. That's rough.
Yeah. So
and Houston gave them a freebie on Friday, so I don't want to hear any complaining from any White Sox fans that they're already eliminated from the playoffs.
I mean, you threw them a bone. You absolutely did.
Yeah.
So yeah. Pittsburgh, despite their continued fall in the NL Central, plans to continue throwing Skeens as part of their normal rotation. Paul Skeens has thrown 125 1/3 innings to this point this season, but there is no intention or no plan to shut him down for the rest of the year. They may shorten some of his starts, but they're not to skip him apparently, and that'll kind of keep him in contention probably for the National League Rookie of the Year award. Pittsburgh 7 games under 500. They're in last place in the NL Central, and they are 7.5 out of the final NL wildcard spot, which again is held by the Braves. So 125 in the third innings, 98 of those at the major league level. He threw 129 in the third innings last year, most of those with LSU. And he has made each of his major league starts on extra rest, going a little bit more than 6 innings per and averaging about 98 pitches per start. But also, Paul Skeens is 6'6", 235. I mean, he's not David Sanders Jr., but he's not a small guy. So I think you can probably push him a little bit more. So it'll bear watching to see how they handle that situation.
He's still your betting favorite, but yeah, it is drastically shrunk from where it was. I mean, he was a 40-1 favorite about 2 weeks ago, and it's basically even money with him, as nothing really changed over the weekend. Reason I pulled that up was because, yeah, this is interesting news. I thought maybe now the odds swing back in his favor, but it seems like it's going to be a dogfight with him and
Jackson Merrill.
Jackson Merrill over there from the Padres. So I like the idea of potentially shortening, the outings. Hey, we're still going to keep you in the mix. This is kind of how we do things in the big league level, and don't just shutting him down entirely. Man, that's just tough from not just his standpoint, from the team standpoint, but also the fans and the energy standpoint. It makes it rough.
Yeah, and I think, for the Pirates, I think when you've got a talent like that and you've got somebody that your fan base is excited about seeing, particularly at home, I mean, you got to run him out there. I think you got to do whatever you can do to maintain whatever excitement there is about your ball club right now. So
it's like we talked about with the Reds last year with De La Cruz. When you ain't selling winning games, you got to sell hope. And at least Skeens, you can sell the hope factor if you keep him out there.
Oh, without question. There you go. Williamsport, Pennsylvania is the site of the Little League World Series. Last night it was the site of the Little League Classic, as the Tigers continue to play some pretty good ball themselves, knocking off the Yankees 3-2 in 10 innings. And I did not watch, but I saw a lot of traffic on social media, and there was a lot of, interaction between, the major league players and these youngsters, which is really cool to see. So Jazz Chisholm was apparently a hit with the Little Leaguers. Did not play, but sat out in the grandstands with some folks and that kind of thing. Next year's matchup will be the Mets and Mariners at Williamsport. So
be a pretty good one. You say 10 innings, got a little extra ball. The Yankees trying to go against Skubal last night. Judge had a hit. Everybody's wanting him to see him get a dinger, but it didn't come to pass. And Soto was rung up as well. So Skubal kind of putting his dominance on display at times last night.
Absolutely. A little bonus baseball up there with the American League Cy Young, probably front runner at this point. So yeah, good stuff for the little ones up there in Williamsport. Let's take a break here as hour number 1 of the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today winds down. When we come back for hour number 2 to the Lee Company studios, we'll be talking a little professional football. So stay with us after this break.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We are Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. And we are heading into hour number 2 of the Monday Mirror, coming to you from the Lee Company studio. Wade, I'm assuming you were at Nissan Stadium on Saturday night.
Was not there Saturday. Went straight from the golf course out to Tim's Ford. It was a real runaround on the weekend, Mo. One of my very best friends, we threw a birthday party for him, and you got to keep your friends happy, especially friends that have boats and lake houses. So Tyler Brown, shout out. Today's actually his birthday, but it was good to be with him and good to kind of settle down as preseason. We did watch the game. We were one of the sickos, me and him and 3 of our best friends from high school. We were some of the sickos that actually tuned in and watched the second half of the Titans preseason game, and we at least got rewarded with a little positive outcome at the end, I suppose.
Absolutely. Young undrafted free agent Braden Narveson. Remember the name. Knocked in a 59-yard field goal in the second half to cut it close, and then a 46-yarder to win it for the Titans, 16-15 over the Seattle Seahawks in a preseason game where neither team really played their starters. So, the takeaway from it was a lot of folks that needed to put a lot of stuff on tape got the opportunity to do so. And one of those was another Michigan product. And I keep wanting to say Justin Harrell, and I know that's not right. What is the edge rusher from Michigan's first name, Wade?
You talking about Jalen Harrell?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, he had another good game.
He is continuing to impress and continuing to press for a spot in that defensive front that, got both some good news and some bad news here over the last few days as Marlon Davidson suffered a bicep injury late last week in that joint team practice with the Seahawks, and he's on IR. Not sure how long he is out, but he is out. But Arden Key won his appeal with the NFL over the 6-game suspension for banned substances. So, you know, that's a good thing when you have a guy coming back who was as impactful as Arden Key was in his first season with the Titans last year, to know that you are going to have him, or that you're not going to have him for the first 6 games, because of NFL sanctions. That's a step in the right direction.
That's massive. And it was so massive that Arden Key, he's got Big Jeff now as his publicist. So
Apparently.
Jeffrey Simmons comes through breaking the news on social media. He says, let everybody know, not guilty, y'all got to feel me, as Arden Key is back. And that is big news because he had a pretty solid season last year for the Titans, but with the way their depth chart is right now, they were really going to be stretched thin if he wasn't able to go. So that's fantastic news in the sense of getting him back.
It is fantastic news. And it's tough news if you are a journalist covering the Titans, because if Jeff Simmons is out here breaking news on top of everything else, that's speaking of smoke that you may not want.
It's also tough news if Arden Key himself is backing up Jeff Simmons' claims with, colorful language about the reports of his suspension too. So, interesting times. I thought this was supposed to be a dull part of the season, the week or two before the real kickoff, but Nashville was buzzing this weekend coming out of that preseason game versus the Seahawks.
Suddenly a lot going on. Absolutely. Again, without the starters playing, we saw no Will Levis. Still plenty of mayonnaise references though through the show, but we did see, as a result, Malik Willis got the start. Mason Rudolph and he both played quite a bit, and just realistically, the hierarchy is Levis, Rudolph, and Willis. I think the question becomes, do the Titans keep three quarterbacks up or not? And I mean, I would imagine that's a question that the answer will be determined by, some other positions. I don't know. If you don't keep Willis active, is anybody else going to pick him up, Wade?
I feel like, I don't know. After this weekend was tough, but I do feel like he's still worthy of maybe taking a flyer on if a team is looking at a certain scheme or runs a certain scheme, or if a team has this certain personnel, or if the roster just the math works out for them. The reason he might get pushed out, or the reason a player might get pushed out on one team, may be the sole reason they get brought in by another team. Just sometimes the math works out, right?
You're right. Yeah. And I think the consensus is that there has been improvement made, and he is moving closer to being a more serviceable quarterback in the National Football League. But for the Titans, again, the hierarchy is there. I mean, it's pretty obvious, given what Mason Rudolph has done over the course of his career, and what he's done here in Tennessee in the short time he's been here. I mean, there's no reason that you would have Malik Willis ahead of him. So I think the math becomes the question. So we'll certainly be staying tuned through next week's preseason game at New Orleans and over the following 2 weeks before the season starts, just to see where that goes. But I think the question is whether they keep 2 quarterbacks or 3, not whether Malik Willis is QB2. Because I think the answer to that one is no. No knock on Malik, just looking at who we're talking about and the situation. And I don't see a scenario where he is number 2. So
doesn't feel like it.
Yeah. I can tell you though that the running back room is getting complicated.
Fantasy football nightmare. We are streaking toward it. If you were looking for a Titans running back, stay away. I'm feeling.
Yeah, because behind Pollard and Spears, you've got
Haskins,
you've got
Chestnut.
Haskins, you've got Chestnut, and now you've got Jabari Small, the former Tennessee running back, who is really he's getting some nods from Brian Callahan, and that's never a bad thing. And I don't know who the odd man out is in that situation. The only thing is, I think right now he's got some concussion issues coming out of Saturday night, but he's doing what you want a rookie to come in and do and that's come in and make them have to make a hard decision. And there are some decisions that are going to have to be made, I think, between Haskins, Chestnut, and Small at running back.
That is a stacked room, like you said a moment ago. That's 5 guys with not outside of the top 2, maybe with not a lot of differentiation between the others.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know what the basis is for how you stack those guys up. Haskins, Chestnut, Small. I don't know what the order is. I don't know what the order is based on. So it's if anybody can break that one down for us, please do, because we could use the help. Apparently, I don't know if you want to refer to him as journeyman or a longtime backup or how you care to look at him, but Gardner Minshew has emerged as QB1 in Vegas. Who'd have bet on that? Minshew has worked his way past former Purdue standout Aiden O'Connell, and he will be the starter for the Raiders in their season opener after spending time with the Jaguars, Eagles, and Colts over the past 5 seasons. Antonio Pierce in postgame Saturday. We've seen enough reps, 2 games. Our guys are not playing in the 3rd preseason game, so we'll sleep on it and make a decision the next couple of days. And he came out yesterday and announced Minshew as the starter, has informed both Minshew and O'Connell of that decision. Minshew's personality is infectious. His energy is infectious. His leadership is infectious. So he's improved his footwork in the pocket, staying on script. There is some magic about him when he does break the pocket and do his thing, but there's a lot of times where the first or second read is there. We have to let it rip. He understands that. More importantly, taking care of the football. Gardner gives us the best opportunity to get off to a fast start. So,
I knew that was going to be a close coast battle coming into camp. I was flipping through the TV earlier this afternoon. They got the replays going, and I kid you not, the moment I turn on NFL Network, it was a replay of the Cowboys and the Raiders game from the other night. The moment I turned it on was when O'Connell throws that pick 6. And everybody, even the cameramen, and granted, this is, local broadcast during preseason, everybody's kind of zooming in on O'Connell, and I was just like, man, Minshew does just enough to keep himself in the conversation and then win you over with his moxie and with his personality. So what you said earlier is correct, because if it's a 50-50 choice, Minshew's got a little bit of that extra oomph. And it seems like he, along with O'Connell struggling versus the Cowboys the other night, has made this the decision for Antonio Pierce.
Absolutely. Did you see that throw Caleb Williams made Saturday?
I saw that one. I saw a great tweet that said Justin Fields. Here's Justin Fields doing the same thing in a regular season game to not much fanfare. And I also saw Mahomes go behind the back the other night, which was – I caught that in real time as well. I was just wrapping up the golf course Saturday, and the first highlight I see, or first moments I see of the Chiefs game, is Mahomes going behind the back, and I'm just like, holy smokes.
Right.
But yeah, Caleb makes a great play, but it was funny because some of the Bears fans in my life said, well, I mean, Fields here's him doing a similar play in a regular season game 2 years ago. So I don't know how I feel about that.
Both Bo Nix and Caleb Williams had some solid performances over the weekend. Bo Nix for the Broncos, obviously Caleb Williams, the number 1 pick overall with the Bears. It'll be interesting to see what direction the Broncos go in. Obviously, Sean Payton wanting to announce his presence with authority, going with a rookie quarterback might be the thing for Denver.
See, I said Nix played well, but quote, not ready to announce. I don't know. Yeah, it seems like Nix is getting closer, and you're right. It'd be a nice way to get it.
Kind
to
of
get
a
the
clean,
attention. Yeah, exactly.
Clean slate kind of thing. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Colt McCoy has handed off the clipboard after 14 seasons and 56 career games in the National Football League. The former Texas standout has announced his retirement and is apparently set to join NBC Sports as an analyst for their Big Ten football coverage. So, man, that's nice, being able to walk out of one job and right into another one. Football is what I've done for 37 years, 3 years old, and I was a water boy on my dad's football team, and I've been around the game ever since, he said. So I guess he'll still be around it. But from the press box level, drafted in the 3rd round in 2010 by the Browns, went 2 of 6 in 8 starts as a rookie. Also played for the 49ers, Commanders, Giants, and Cardinals. Retires with an 11-25 record as a starter. Threw for 34 touchdowns, 32 picks, and almost 8,000 career yards. Last played for the Cardinals in 2022, so did not play at all last year, but has finally officially stepped aside and going to go behind the mic. So,
heck of a career. Several bags secured while holding it down, and it was interesting because
that's the number that's missing here. Is
he's not in Chase Daniel territory, but I mean he was an epic bag secure. And I'm looking through his career numbers. He started 13 games for the Browns in 2011, but I kind of know him through that tenure for whatever reason. It feels like he started a lot more games when he was a member of Washington. And so that's kind of where I always remember McCoy is flipping on the red zone. Somebody's been banged up, and McCoy comes in and is trying to lead Washington to some sort of modicum of success for a week or two here, week or two there. But yeah, man, a lot of games, and he's been doing this thing for a long time, and now just will cruise right into Big Ten coverage, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, nothing wrong with that. Pretty cushy gig there for Mr. McCoy. So should be a lot of fun for him. Let's go ahead and take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company studios, we will be joined by the illustrious Joe Williams. So stay tuned after this.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
A little drive-in music feels like here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton along with Wade Neely, and it's fitting because in the driver's seat right now, local racing authority Joe Williams. You can find him on Twitter at Joe_T_Williams. And I'm not sure where he's been or where he's headed, but we've got him right now to talk a little Nashville Fairgrounds racing and specifically some inductees into the Fairgrounds Racing Hall of Fame.
Good afternoon, everybody.
How are you doing, sir?
It's a little bit crazy right now. I'm out of town trying to do 3 or 4 things at once, but I found a nice spot to pull over.
Well, are you safe?
Yes, okay. I am. I'm actually in North Carolina, just on the western edge of North Carolina.
Okay, all right. Look out for bears.
Yeah, we found that out already. Thank you.
Sorry, I should have talked to you earlier.
I'm doing some work in Gatlinburg. I came over here to see a friend, and that's the first thing they said last night. I said, Did you stop and get anything to eat on the way? And I went, no. Why? Well, if you've got any kind of food waste in your vehicle, get it out now.
Because if there's anything in your vehicle, they will find it, huh?
You ain't wrong. They told me there's about 3 cars a week that are getting like serious damage from bears hunting something to eat.
You know, I'm not sure how often you watch us, Joe, but Wade and I do a Wild and Wacky Wednesday. And about 3 weeks ago, one of our stories on Wild and Wacky Wednesday was a couple of bears that found their way into a car but could not get out of it, and the damage they did. And I
saw that. I saw what's worse is the hotel where I'm staying is actually on top of the hill in Gatlinburg, and it's the door to the meeting room says, keep this door closed and locked. And I asked him, I said, is that big a deal? He said, we had one get in 3 weeks ago and destroyed a roof.
Oh my.
I said, how do you know it was a bear? Did somebody walk in on them? Personally, I wouldn't want to know it was the bear.
I guess my question would be, well, how do you get them out?
Yeah, what's the protocol there?
See, you and I think alike. we think alike. Okay, they got in. Good. They can stay as long as they want to.
Yep. Until they decide to leave, they're in there. Because
exactly,
I'm not messing with them.
I'm too old to run.
Right.
And too fat, and unfortunately too fat to look like dinner. So
yeah, they can just stay there till they
yes, sir.
Fall asleep or whatever else it is that they do. Yeah. This bear talk is all entertaining, but it ain't what we brought you on here for. Again, the Nashville Fairgrounds has announced their 2024 Hall of Fame inductees who will be honored in November at an event over at the Fairgrounds Expo Center. And if you would be so kind as to inform us who those honorees are, that would be great.
The Fairgrounds Hall of Fame Board of Directors, every year they just do a tremendous job. This is a tough thing to watch go, Maurice, because there's so many deserving individuals. They break it down into two categories, what they call the early era and the modern era. And that zone moves a little bit every year as we get another year further down the road. Let's talk first about the quote early era, which unfortunately I could probably be a part of by now, as old as I am. But very good choices. The first one I'll tell you about is a father-son team, Kenneth and Dennis Weiser. Kenneth was the dad. He did some racing, but it was Dennis who kind of really made a name for the family. And he was part of the original Kitty Corps. 4 drivers all started together. It was Dennis Weiser, Chubby Crow, Mike Alexander, and Sterling Marlin. So 3 of the 4 from the original Kitty Corps will wind up being in the Hall of Fame. Interesting to note that Chubby did make the short list. So, the old Kitty Corps there. We're also adding another female, Gloria Taylor, who comes from a racing family. Just an outstanding racing family, the Stillings family, the Kaler family. And she had some really great success. And this is one of those things that until somebody says, hey, you need to look into this background. Well, I think the board, and I'm not a voting member of the board. Let me stress that first. I'm merely a spokesman and advisor. But I watch them go through this and do their due diligence. And I think Gloria Kaler is a great ad. And the last one from the past era, if you will, is one I think, quite honestly, has been overlooked way too long. And I am so excited to see Joe Caldwell of the Nashville Banner inducted into the Nashville Fairgrounds Hall of Fame. Joe covered racing for years. The two things I remember most about Joe. One, he always worked the story hard. And 2, he was not afraid to call the track out it didn't matter who the operator was. He didn't have a problem when something wasn't exactly right, he'd say so. But he did it with a great deal of class, never accusatory. He got a lot of things rolling that I don't think he realized, and I don't think we missed Joe as much until after, of course, the Banner folded, and then we lost Joe as he passed away. There's a great symmetry here in that he and Larry Woody of Tennessean are now both members of this Hall of Fame. And for years, the stories these guys could tell. For years, they were best buds. They would travel to races, cup races together. They would come to the fairgrounds together, and they were great friends. But man, were they competitors!
Folks would not realize how close they were and how competitive they were, because you just couldn't really fathom that dynamic.
In many ways, you're like twin brothers. They were like twin brothers with one twin always trying to up the other.
And they were so good for whatever it was
Oh,
they were covering, whether it was,
yeah.
Vanderbilt or the racing or whatever it was that they were covering. They were both great at what they did, and Larry Woody is still great at what he does. But yeah, that's a great honor for Joe Caldwell in particular. So
Well deserved. In the modern era, what
Mhm.
they're calling the modern era, which is about 1987, 88 on now. Johnny Tony Jr. out of the Thompson Station, Spring Hill area,
Mhm.
just north of you guys. Johnny Tony is being inducted. He also is from a racing family. His mother raced, his father raced, his brother Joe raced. He and his brother Jeff Tony put on some tremendous battles between the two of themselves in the old mini modified division. And Johnny's kind of the king of the 4-cylinder mini modifieds, 4-cylinder cars that were race card up. I'll put it. Johnny won 3 championships on the quarter mile at Nashville, and he won a bunch of races when those cars were running on the big track. He was the guy everybody kind of pointed to find out what to do in a mini modified, and that I'm tickled for Johnny. The second inductee will be Mike Reynolds. Now, Mike is known for a lot of things, but a lot of folks may have forgotten. Mike won a championship on the quarter mile in the sportsman cars. He won a truck championship on the 5/8 mile track back when there were a lot of trucks in that division. And he also won a late model title on the big track, won a lot of races in all 3 divisions, and also won a NASCAR regional championship. So this one was pretty easy for him, I think. And our final inductee, and this is the one thing I like about what this group does, they're trying to honor not just drivers, not just crew chiefs, but also media folks who had things to do with it, and also sponsors. And Bob McCracken of Town and Country Ford in Madison is being inducted. And I got to looking at it, and Bob has sponsored and been responsible for more wins and more championships in more divisions than anybody else in Nashville Fairgrounds history. He was sponsoring Joe Buford, he sponsored Josh, he sponsored Tandy, Marlin, Ricky Haynes. He's currently sponsoring Benny Hamlet in the late model division, his son Peyton on the quarter mile, and also up and comer Gavin Veach out of College Grove in the Legends division. That's this year. He's been involved with supplying equipment, pace cars, sponsoring races, both at the fairgrounds and the super speedway. This is a 40-year commitment. On top of that, he sponsored more radio shows for people like Liz Allison and some white-haired old guy doesn't know what he's doing by the name of Joe Williams over the years than I can count. I'm awfully glad to see Bob get in.
Sounds like quite the Hall of Fame class that the Nashville Fairgrounds will be inducting in November. Joe Williams joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Tell us more about, the ceremony and when that'll take place, Joe.
Ceremony is scheduled for November 6th on a Wednesday night. It is open to the public, and shoot me because I don't have the right website address, but there's a way. If you Google Nashville Fairgrounds Hall of Fame, the Hall of Fame website will come up, and you can get tickets for that. It'll be at the Expo Center there at the fairgrounds. Last year, there was about 500 people. It is done right. One of the founding directors of this bunch, a fellow by the name of Scott Borchetta, you may have heard of him.
Name sounds familiar.
Yeah. Scott is a true supporter. First off, he's a member of the Hall of Fame, but secondly, he is anxious every year for this to get one better, and that's the thing. Every year we're trying to get a little bit better, and eventually, I think there may actually be a brick and mortar facility. I mean, that's kind of the dream, but I can tell you the induction ceremonies are always a lot of fun. There'll be good music, good food. we'll get to meet all of the new inductees, and there'll be a whole lot of the current Hall of Fame members who show up for that.
Safe to assume you will be emceeing those ceremonies?
I am honored, yes, sir. One more time, I'll do it again. It's a great honor for me to see these guys and gals get these awards, especially some of them that I've known for so long. Maurice, you'll appreciate this. It's kind of like that coach that we cover, who's just, he's either just kind of rough and tough, and to see that side when it hits them, this is what's happened to you. You are now a member of this Hall of Fame, and to see that emotion, it's always fun.
Yeah, some of those folks, I'm sure will kind of be a little apprehensive as they sit there and work through those introductions that you'll be doing, just wondering what it is that's going to come out of the MC's mouth. And I can tell them that I have been in that position myself. So good luck.
Well, that's the thing. They've always, if anybody asks what should I do, I always say you need to call Mo Patton, who's already a member of more Hall of Fames than I can count, and especially the Tennessee Sports Writers Hall of Fame. And you're the man.
Right place, right time, man. I guess eventually you stick around long enough, they have no choice. But Joe, what else is going on over at the fairgrounds? I know there's kind of always something from a racing bent happening over there.
Well, I think the biggest thing, a couple of things. One, there's a couple of races left on the schedule. You've got the All-American 400 coming up in late October. I think the big question everybody wonders about is what's going to happen to the fairgrounds. And you and I have spoken before about Bristol Motorsports coming in wanting to renovate the place. It's really quiet right now. There's not a lot of discussion, but I think that's probably a good thing. I'm convinced it's going to happen. It's just when.
Okay.
But like I say, there's another big race. The track is traditionally shut down in September for the Tennessee State Fair. Well, the fair's not at the fairgrounds anymore. It's out in Wilson County. But that tradition of taking the month of September off, it lives on.
Okay. All right.
Gives me time to do football. So
there we go. Here we go.
Right around the corner.
There we go. Yeah.
Friday night, man.
Where are you going Friday night? Oh, you're doing some radio Friday night, right?
Yes. Yeah, we're going to open up Centennial at Franklin, Battle of Franklin.
Among the many hats that Joe wears, he is also sports director at WAKM Radio. Where can folks find that if they're on their dial, Joe?
Well, we call it the WAKM Sports Network, 950 on the AM dial, WAKMworldwide.com, or on the radio.net.
There we go. The Battle of Franklin. That should be fun.
Should be interesting. The Admiral's been down a little bit. They've had some things. They got a brand new coach. Centennial brought in a new coach last year in Jamal Stewart, and I think he made great waves and firm believers in a lot of folks. And the best part is coaches in Williamson County really are a fraternity more than enemies, if you will. And he fits with them. The new coach I got over at Franklin, I think he's going to fit. This will be a great test for Centennial. Could be a huge step for Franklin. But no matter what, the stands will be full. The atmosphere will be right. You remember hey, you're as torn on this one as anybody. With your alma mater facing the alma mater of your kids. So
yeah, that's it's a tough one anytime
House
Franklin
divided.
Centennial play it.
Absolutely.
Well, it is. And it all jokes aside, it became a little bit more divided a couple of years ago because I was more attuned to Centennial, where both my kids had graduated, until Jay Johnson and some other folks decided to put me in Franklin's Hall of Fame. So I mean,
See,
I
there's
feel
another
a
one.
little bit more allegiance all of a sudden to the
Yep.
Admirals. But that's going to be an interesting ball game. I got a chance to see Centennial out at Mount Pleasant in the Murray County Jamboree this past weekend against Spring Hill, and I will tell you that Franklin's defensive secondary better have their running shoes on, because Centennial has some guys on the outside that can flat go by you.
Yeah, but they got to find somebody who can get the ball there.
Oh,
That's
they've
been the
got
question
that
mark.
too. No,
They got that.
it's no longer a question. Riley Turner dropped a couple of dimes the other night. So yeah, they're going to be interesting to watch. And
Could be an interesting year.
if you don't have Page Centennial already circled on your schedule, you might want to.
We do.
There you go. There you
that
go.
was a wild game last year between those two schools.
Oh,
yeah.
Let me tell you that, 6A is huge, and I know that, but I'm telling you that between Murray and Williamson County, this 5A group, man.
Yeah. Keep an eye on it for sure. Joe Williams joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Joe, we appreciate it. Look out for Bears, and we will catch up with you.
You got it. Thank you so much. You guys have a great afternoon.
Thanks. You do the same.
Thank you, Joe.
When we return to the Lee Company studios for Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, it's the grab bag. Stay tuned.
So, you want to be a part of the Busy Bee team, huh? Well, how do you see yourself fitting into the organization? Oh, I get it. You want to be a weather bee.
He shoots, and he scores!
Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, along with Wade Neely, coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes. This is the final segment of the day. We call it the grab bag, as we try to tie up a few loose ends between now and the end of the show. Let's start, Wade, in the WNBA. You might have heard of this young lady before. The rookie assist record fell this past weekend as Caitlin Clark went past Tisha Penicheiro for the most assists by a WNBA first player in a single season. Tisha Penicheiro, who played her collegiate ball at Old Dominion, and I was fortunate enough to watch her. And man, she could go. She, in 1998, the second year of the WNBA's existence, racked up 225 assists as a rookie. That was over 30 games. Clark broke that record yesterday in the Fever's 92-75 win over Seattle, specifically in the third quarter when she hit Kelsey Mitchell with a full court pass for a basket. Clark finished with 9 assists on the game, her 28th, and she currently has 232 assists for the season. So whatever 232 divided by 28 is how many assists Caitlin is averaging. 8.3. That's strong.
Game seems like it's slowing down for her, and she's putting up crazy numbers. Already number 10 on the all-time single season assists, rookie or otherwise. So that actually was maybe up to number 9, I think. Actually, I don't know if this list is updated. So Alyssa Thomas at 316, and then Courtney Vandersloot with a couple of good seasons above 300. Who knows? Because, again, it feels like the game is slowing down. And we've talked to a couple different guests in the last month or two. It seems like the Fever, after kind of being left for dead at the start, they're kind of finding their legs as a team now. And who knows what's going to happen. It's action is about to be fun. Trade deadline tomorrow for the WNBA, and then we got about another, month and a half-ish to sprint to the finish here?
I'm not sure how late their season goes, and that I feel bad the fact that I don't know that. But yeah, the Fever has kind of put themselves, like you said, in a position to, possibly make the playoffs, which is certainly an improvement over previous years for this ball.
Yeah, final games on the 19th of September. Playoffs start a couple days right after.
So we got right at a month left then.
I mean, they seem to be playing well. Couple of wild games. You mentioned during the rundown some of those. I caught the end of the Storm and the Dream on Friday night. That was insane because the Storm hit a 3 with basically 2 seconds left, 5 seconds left, but fading away, falling into the front row of the bench. And then the Dream quickly inbound, and they score with 1 point something remaining. Teams trading buckets in the final moments. That was a crazy game. We knew that the Liberty and the Aces was going to be insane this weekend. I mean, it feels like after coming back from the Olympics, the WNBA has cashed in on that notoriety here.
And, that was what you kind of wanted to see and were concerned whether you would see it, because we saw, last year, the women's NCAAs, and you were hoping to see some of that momentum carry into the WNBA, and you didn't necessarily see that last year. This year, it seemed like they did a little bit better job of that, and then they kind of rolled it into the Olympics to a degree, and now they have continued coming out of the Olympics, like you said. So I think that's really encouraging to see that momentum just kind of continue to build around the WNBA, because it's been some great ball. I watched most of the Aces and the Sparks last night, and
that's dedication right there. But yeah, it ends up being a little closer than you think.
Well, see, here's the thing. I watched most of the Liberty and the Aces the day before on Saturday, and the Liberty just pretty well took care of business. And as I was watching, Wade, I was kind of drawing some parallels in my mind between the Aces and, the Braves to some degree. I mean, at what point is it that you think you've got a superior team, and at what point is it that you just realize, maybe we're not who we think we are? Maybe the Liberty is that team this time around. And I don't know how far you go before you get to that point, but so I was kind of watching to see how they bounced back from that double-digit loss to the Liberty against the Sparks. Well, they came back, and again, Asia scored 34 with 13, excuse me. And they beat the Sparks by 13, and it was, rarely in doubt, I think. But, just to see, a two-time league champion kind of handle their business after taking a tough loss the day before, I thought was a pretty good thing.
Yeah, and the Aces slide up to second because the Storm, like I mentioned, Friday night they catch a wild loss to the Dream. take another loss yesterday pretty convincingly to the Fever.
Mhm.
So that lets the Aces slide up. But you're right. It feels like the coronation of the Liberty is not fully complete, but man, it feels like we're getting closer and closer because
It feels
they
like
have
it's
been
coming.
dominant this year.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when you look down the the combined league standings and you see New York sitting up there at 23-4, and then you see Vegas sitting at 17-9 in fourth place overall, in second place a game and a half behind the Lynx. I mean, is it complete, or does it have to be a postseason handoff? And it looks like the Liberty, if the Liberty looks like the Liberty is saying we'll take care of that too. So they are tough, and I think the postseason is going to be fun to watch once we get there. And again, Indiana now sitting at 13-15 overall, but you feel like they are going to impact this postseason slate as well. They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are in the 7th spot right now, just ahead of the Chicago Sky. Atlanta and at 9-17, the first team out of the playoffs if the playoffs began today, which is a phrase that I have always hated because they don't.
But if just if
yeah,
though,
if they started today, yeah. The playoffs kind of have started in the Professional Golfers Association. And Hideki Matsuyama got things started down in Memphis this weekend. Back-to-back birdies on the final 2 holes, and they were the difference as he won the FedEx St. Jude Championship by 2 strokes.
Yeah, when we left on Friday, I said, don't be surprised if it's going to end up Matsuyama and Scheffler kind of maybe going toe-to-toe in kind of a duel, and we kind of got that. Scheffler eventually fades away, kind of blinks a little bit. Matsuyama, what he really did, though, he did his heavy lifting earlier. He goes out and shoots an even 70 on Sunday, but with rounds of 65, 64, 64, he kind of did his heavy bidding earlier in the week in terms of the overall leaderboard. But you were exactly right. Back-to-back birdies. He had a crazy situation with a double bogey on 15, and you're thinking, ruh-roh raggy type situation because it was not looking good. Shoffley's kind of lingering in the mix. Victor Hovland had a great round, shooting 4 under yesterday. And Hovland was 4 under, and then Scheffler with 4 under as well yesterday. Tip the cap to Matsuyama because he ends up, pulling it off. But, man, it was a stacked field at the end there.
I knew I had 2 holes left, and that's just what I was thinking. 2 more holes. I've got to make 1 birdie. I knew if I could keep it in the fairway at 17, I'd have a chance. It was in the left rough. Lie wasn't too bad. I was able to get it on the green. On that putt, I drew from this entire week's putting on the greens. Put it well all week, and I thought, well, I did it before. Let's do it again. Then 18 was just gravy, I guess. So Matsuyama took bronze at the Paris Olympics a couple of weeks ago on his way back to Memphis. Apparently, he, his caddy, and his coach were having dinner in London, and they lost their bags, the caddy and the coach. So they had to go back to Japan and get their passports and visas replaced. So Matsuyama played without his normal caddy or without his coach. Both will be back in place for his appearance in Colorado this coming week. But interesting week for Mr. Matsuyama.
Yeah, I love this headline. Matsuyama robbed an airport, but then goes on to bag $3.6 million. So
there you go.
That's a way to get at least a little bit of it back. But man, yeah, that is a crazy situation. But he was nails at the very end yesterday, and that's after, like you said, a big performance in Paris before things got crazy on his way back.
No doubt, no doubt. So NASCAR was supposed to run this weekend in Memphis. Yes, I'm sorry, in Michigan. Yesterday in Michigan, rain dictated otherwise. That race just finished up here not too long ago as Tyler Reddick won the Firekeepers Casino 400 in overtime, finishing ahead of William Byron down the stretch. Ty Gibbs third, Kyle Busch fourth, Keselowski fifth. And we will be talking more with our NASCAR analyst Heather Williams of WCYB TV on Wednesday regarding this one. Trackhouse's Daniel Suarez finished eighth, by the way. So it's always good when Trackhouse finishes top 10. Reddick, after the race, dedicated the win to his mentor, dirt racing legend Scott Bloomquist, who died late last week in a plane crash up in East Tennessee. So our condolences out to the family and friends of Scott Bloomquist, obviously. Again, Wade, we kind of overlooked a NASCAR development from last week as we spoke with Heather and as we talked last week about Austin Dillon's win up at Richmond and how he secured it. Well, it did not just draw our attention. It also drew the attention of NASCAR officials who apparently took action. Dillon did retain the victory, but they lose but they lose 25 playoff points and they lose the playoff berth that typically comes with that win. So,
was it worth it?
So Austin Dillon is, as of right now, still not in the playoffs. Now, clearly, he is appealing that decision, and I think the appeal is to be heard Wednesday. So ideally, it will be heard early enough Wednesday morning that we can discuss all of this again with Heather Williams when we have her on Wednesday, because this is a little explosive. And I don't know if that was Tyler Reddick's first win or if he was already in or what his situation is, but there's still some room for some folks for some upward mobility into the playoffs with 2 regular season races left. And so we'll be keeping an eye on how that develops. And I guess if Austin Dillon isn't in, then there are 3 spots remaining.
Yeah, numbers game just got a little better for some guys, right?
For some guys, exactly. Particularly guys like Bubba Wallace, who is right on the cut line, has not won, but has pointed his way in as of right now. So we will. This will certainly bear paying attention to. Wow. Apparently, Bubba got knocked out 51 laps in. And along with Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, and Busher, looks like. So, tough day for Mr. Wallace. That's going to just about do it for us here, I think, on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, as we have pretty well exhausted everything we have on sports of a local, regional, and national landscape. So be sure and come back tomorrow. It's Tuesday, and so we will be visiting with Blue Raider voice Chip Walters in the second hour. Do not have our first hour guest set yet, but we will have someone riveting. So be sure and come back 2:00 tomorrow right here. Main Street Sports Today, Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, bringing us to you from the Lee Company Studios. We'll talk to y'all tomorrow.